Hello and welcome to another Döhle coffee break. My name is Dan Perriam. I'm the General Manager here on a relatively sunny Isle of Man. With me today is Matt Goff.
Good morning.
Hello. Matt is our Maritime Compliance Manager and Company Security Officer. Today we will be discussing an integral standard within the superyacht industry, the International Safety Management or ISM Code. Matt will be summarising the code and touching on the key components of it. So Matt, let's start from the start. What is the ISM code and how did it come about?
Okay, as you said, it's the International Safety Management Code. It has a much grander title, which we won't bother with, but essentially it's not just safety, it covers pollution prevention as well. So came about off the back of the guidelines for the safe operation of ships, formalised into the ISM code, following a couple of well-publicised shipping disasters in the late 80s, early 90s, heralded a free enterprise mainly, but there's also some impact from the Estonia.
Okay. Who has to comply?
So if you are a commercial vessel over 500 tonnes, then ISM compliance is mandatory. You have to be certified, carry a safety management certificate. Private vessels over 500 tonnes, in my opinion, it's essentially a no-brainer. You're employing crew, you've got a duty of care to keep people safe on board and have a safe working environment. So this is a fantastic tool to achieve that. Although for private vessels it's not mandatory. Certainly considered best practice though.
Okay, and in broad strokes, what does the code entail?
So the code is it's brief. It's only a few A5 pages long, and written in quite a high level manner to give the requirements without being too prescriptive on how people apply them.
Okay.
So why you get different ISM companies operating in different ways and having different procedures and different systems. If it was all the same, there would only be one ISM company, because
so there's scope for subjectivity.
So there's scope for flexibility in the methods of application. Code has various big handful kind of heading requirements. So one of the fundamentals, you've got to have a policy, safety and environmental protection. You have to have operating procedures. You have to have, there's an explicit requirement for risk assessment. You have to provide adequate resources. There's accident and near-miss reporting, technical oversight. Emergency preparedness is a big aspect, as is the master's overriding authority so the captain isn't constrained by any third parties or for safety related matters. He's ultimately responsible for the safety of the ship, so it empowers him to be able to do that without constraints. And there's also the requirement for a designated person.
Not designated person ashore?
Well, it's the DPA, really. It's defined in the code as designated person, but because of the nature of what they're required to do, if they're not ashore, it would be almost impossible to do the job.
Can any owning company comply simply by following the code?
I've got a little smirk on my face at that, because yes, if you follow the code, yes, you can comply, because you're following the sections on flag state verification and certification requirements. But no, if you just want to adopt the principles of the code, you could implement a management system and follow the shipboard and shore-based ethos of the code, but without getting the flag state certification and going through the regular audit process and keeping that the document of compliance for the company valid,
Mm-hmm.
then that's an instant non-compliance. So in order to provide ISM services to commercial vessels, you have to have the document of compliance and be audited and certified by the flag states.
Okay. The designated person, or the designated person ashore, or the DPA, how do they factor into this?
Okay, so the DPA, their primary function is to act as they have access to the highest levels of management, so they can request resources, support, anything that is required to do with the application of safety.
Okay.
This is one that did become prevalent after the Herald of Free Enterprise, because the report found there were serious failings in communication between ship and shore, particularly on safety matters. So the DPA provides not only someone that the crew or captain can come to if they have safety concerns, but also someone who can reach out to those high-level decision makers and get action taken in a fairly quick and efficient way.
Okay. As we're sat here in our emergency response room,
Yes, we are.
can you, and you touched on this before, can you expand on the emergency preparedness elements of the ISM code?
Yes. So again, the code's high level. It basically says you've got to be prepared for emergencies.
Okay.
It goes into a bit more detail, but that's the long and short of it. And that entails, or it covers shore and at sea. Obviously, the guys on board at the front line in any emergency situation, they can't call the fire brigade, ambulance, coast guard, well, unless they're very coastal.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes into all aspects, and emergency preparedness can cover anything from basic training under STCW right the way through to high-level company procedures for reporting and managing the shore-based side of emergencies. Onboard training drills, documented contingency plans, checklists, flowcharts for easy management of emergencies on board, and also supported by the shore-based team here, who give the captain a single point of contact and act as a conduit for any onward reporting to support him during an emergency on board.
Okay. Similarly, continuous improvement is a key aspect of the code.
It is, and any management system, it does what it says on the tin, continual improvement. If you're not continually improving your systems, then your management system's dead. It's not evolving anymore. It's not going anywhere. You don't necessarily have to continually improve systems by making changes to manuals. As such, you can refine procedures, you can update risk assessments, you can look at maybe a reported near miss and see what can be done in future to stop that turning into an accident if the same circumstances are encountered in the future. Or it can be things like the introduction of software to automate some of the reporting requirements. Obviously, it's one that I really like because we're in a digital world, and the more time people spend documenting and recording and doing a manual process of activities that they've completed from a safety management perspective, it's retrospective, the reporting. So that's the last time they've got to spend on actual application of safety and enhancing the safety culture and processes on board.
Okay. Well, thank you, Matt. I hope that was a useful summary of what is an integral standard within the CPR industry. As always, our contact details are after this video, so please get in touch if you've got any questions. Thanks again, Matt.
You're welcome.
And thank you all for watching.
Thank you.